If you grew up in the 1950s, shopping wasn't a click, it wasn't a scroll. It wasn't something you did from your couch in your pajamas at 2 in the morning. Shopping was an adventure, a ritual, an event that required planning, patience, and a pair of good shoes. Because you didn't order something and wait for it to show up. You went out into the world to find it, and the world was ready for you. Saturday morning, that's when it happened. You'd wake up early, get dressed in your best clothes because you didn't go shopping in sweatpants and catch the bus downtown with your mum, your sister, maybe a friend. The bus ride itself was part of the experience. You'd sit by the window, watching the neighborhoods roll by, anticipating what you might find, what you might try on, what you might bring home. Where the big department stores stood like palaces, Macy's, Sears, J.C., Penny Woolworths, Montgomery Ward, each one was a world unto itself, a kingdom of possibility. The doors were heavy, glass and brass, and when you pushed through them, you were greeted by a wave of cool, perfumed air and the soft hum of commerce. The floors were polished to a mirror shine. Your shoes clicked and echoed with every step. There was music playing soft jazz or orchestral arrangements piped through hidden speakers. Not loud, not intrusive, just enough to make the whole place feel elegant, alive, and everywhere you looked, there was something to see. Mannequins posed in the windows and on platforms throughout the store. They weren't just plastic forms. They were styled, coiffed, positioned like movie stars, frozen mid-season. They wore the latest fashions, circle skirts and pearls, tailored suits and fedoras. You'd stop and stare, imagining yourself in those clothes, living that life. The displays were works of art, not thrown together, not rushed. Every shelf, every table, every rack was arranged with care. Gloves fanned out like playing cards, hats perched on stands at jaunty angles, scarves draped just so. And the colors, oh the colors, pastels and bold reds, mint greens and buttery yellows, polka dots and plaids and stripes. Everything looked new, fresh, full of promise. You didn't wander aimlessly, you had a mission. A new dress for Easter, shoes for school, a gift for Dad's birthday. But even if you came for one thing, you'd end up seeing a dozen others. Because shopping in the 1950s wasn't about efficiency, it was about discovery. You'd walk through the aisles slowly, running your fingers along the fabric of a coat, lifting a hat to feel its weight, spritzing a little perfume on your wrist just to see if you liked it. And then, a voice. "Can I help you find something today?" A sales clerk smiling, dressed impeccably, hair done, lipstick fresh. She didn't hover, she didn't pressure, she just helped. She knew the store like the back of her hand. She knew what just came in, what was on sale, what would look good on you. And if you'd been there before, she might even remember your name. That kind of service wasn't rare, it was standard, expected. Shopping wasn't a solo mission, it was a collaboration between you and the people who worked there. If you were buying shoes, a salesman in a crisp shirt and tie would measure your foot with a metal device, disappear into the back, and return with 3 boxers stacked in his arms. He'd kneel down, slip the shoe onto your foot, and ask you to walk around. "How does that feel? Too tight? Let me get you a half size up." You'd walk back and forth on the carpet, testing the fit, and he'd watch with the focus of a craftsman, making sure you left with something that worked. If you were buying fabric, the clerk would unroll bolts of cloth across the counter, letting you feel the texture, see how it draped, imagine what it might become. She'd cut it for you with large shears, measuring twice, folding it neatly, wrapping it in brown paper tied with string. Everything took time, but time wasn't the enemy. It was part of the pleasure. You'd move from department to department. Women's wear, men's furnishings, housewares, toys. Each section had its own personality, its own smell, its own energy. The perfume counter was a cloud of competing fragrances. Chanel Chalamet Evening in Paris. Women in white gloves would offer to spray a little on a card for you. You'd wave it under your nose, trying to decide if it was too sweet, too strong, just right. The toy department was a carnival. Dolls lined up in rows, their painted eyes staring out at you. Tin robots, wooden trains, board games stacked like towers. And if you were lucky, there'd be demonstrations, someone showing how a toy worked, winding it up, letting it zip across the floor. Kids would stand there, mesmerized, not begging, not whining, just watching. Because toys weren't everywhere, they were special. And you didn't get one every time you went to the store. The housewares section gleamed, Pots and pans hung from hooks. Mixers and toasters sat on display like sculptures. Dishes were arranged in perfect stacks. Plates, bowls, cups, each set more colorful than the last. Women would pick up a plate, turn it over, check the weight, the pattern, imagining it on their own table. Because buying dishes wasn't just practical, it was aspirational. It was about the life you were building. And then there was the lunch counter. Most department stores had one. A long counter with swivel stools, tucked into a corner or stretched along one side of the store. You could sit down, order a grilled cheese and a Coke, and take a break from shopping. The stools squeaked when you spun. The waitress called you hun. The food was simple, but it tasted perfect because you were tired and happy and surrounded by the hum of other shoppers doing the same thing. It wasn't gourmet, it was connection. A moment to rest, to people watch, to sip your soda through a paper straw and feel like you were part of something. When you finally made your purchases, the transaction was an experience in itself. The clerk would write up your order by hand on a slip of paper. She'd wrap your item in tissue paper, crisp, white rustling, and place it carefully in a bag or box. If it was fragile, she'd add extra padding. If it was a gift, she'd tie it with ribbon. Then she'd walk over to the cash register. Not a computer, not a scanner, a mechanical beast of metal and keys. She'd punch in the amount, pull a lever, and the drawer would spring open with a satisfying ching. Sometimes, if you were on an upper floor, she'd put your money in a small cylinder, load it into a pneumatic tube, and send it whooshing up to the office where someone would make change and send it back down. It was like magic, and kids would watch wide-eyed as the cylinder disappeared into the ceiling. You'd leave the store with your purchase in a bag stamped with the store's logo. Not plastic, paper, sturdy, with handles that cut into your fingers if you carried it too long. But you didn't mind, because that bag was proof that you'd been somewhere, done something, found something worth bringing home. And then there were the catalogs. Oh, the catalogs. The Sears Wish Book, the Montgomery Ward catalog, thick as a phone book, filled with everything you could ever want. Toys, clothes, furniture, tools, appliances, even entire houses, shipped in pieces, ready to assemble. The Wish Book arrived in the fall, just in time for Christmas, and when it did, it was an event. Kids would sprawl out on the living room floor, flipping through the pages, circling toys in red or blue pencil, dolls, bikes, train sets, erector sets. You'd make lists, you'd negotiate with your siblings, you'd dream. Adults did the same. They'd sit at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee, turning pages slowly, planning a new coat, a set of dishes, a radio for the den. You'd fill out the order form by hand, item number, description, price, shipping. You'd add it all up, double-check your math, and mail it in with a check or money order. And then you'd wait weeks, sometimes a month. You'd check the mailbox every day, hoping, and when the package finally arrived, wrapped in brown paper and tied with twine, it felt like Christmas morning, because you'd waited for it, anticipated it, earned it, in a way. There was no instant gratification, no same-day delivery, no tracking number to obsess over, just patience, and the knowledge that good things come to those who wait. Shopping in the 1950s wasn't about acquiring stuff. It was about the experience, the journey, the people you encountered along the way. It was about the smell of new leather shoes, the sound of tissue paper crinkling, the weight of a shopping bag in your hand, the taste of a fountain Coke at the lunch counter, the feeling of trying on a hat that made you feel like someone new. It was about taking your time, being present, talking to people, making choices. You didn't compare prices on 20 different websites. You didn't read 100 reviews. You trusted your eyes, your hands, your gut. You bought what felt right. And most of the time, it was. There was a civility to it, a gentleness. People smiled at each other, held doors, said excuse me and thank you. Strangers struck up conversations in the elevator. Salespeople treated you like a person, not a transaction. And when you got home, exhausted but happy, you'd unpack your purchases slowly, unwrap the tissue, try things on again, show them to your family. Look what I found. And they'd look, because what you brought home wasn't just an object. It was a story, a moment, a memory. Maybe that's what we miss most about shopping in the 1950s. Not the stores themselves, not the products, but the feeling that you were part of something, that the world was designed for human beings, not algorithms, that commerce could be personal, warm, even joyful. Because shopping wasn't something you did alone in the dark, staring at a screen. It was something you did in the light, surrounded by people, music, color, life. And when you walked out of those big glass doors, bags in hand, the sun on your face, you didn't just have new things. You had an experience, a memory, a little piece of a world that moved slower, smiled easier, and believed that the journey mattered just as much as the destination. Because yesterday didn't disappear, it just changed its address. But if you close your eyes, you can still hear it. The click of heels on polished floors, the ding of the cash register, the rustle of tissue paper, the voice saying, "Can I help you find something today?" And for just a moment, you're there again, in a world where shopping was an adventure, and every purchase came wrapped in something we've lost: time, care, and the simple pleasure of being human together.